Thank you very much. And once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to our Happy Healthy Home discussion today, the 31st of October 2020. The Happy Healthy Home is committed to promoting child and family development. And today, we will be engaging two top police officials who have taken time of their busy schedules to educate us. We need to stay informed about the security situation around us all the time in order to be security conscious. As they say, or they've been saying, we are not in normal times. We already know that bad or dangerous things happen at certain times, like during election years, like towards the end of the year, especially to children. But this time we have both going on, and children are also at home. They are not going to school. They are gallivanting, and it's all because of COVID-19. I'm Dr. Lanesi Katie Tete, and to discuss this issue and how parents can be more security cautious in their times, in these times, I'd like to introduce two wonderful, beautiful resource persons with us. In the presence of, we have the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Reverend Laurentia Wilhelmina Akoli. She's also the Director, Community Policing, Tesano, Ghana Police Service. Rev ACP, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
We are happy to have laid hands on you finally.
Everyone.
Good afternoon.
As well.
Then we also have in our midst Superintendent Christine Sofignon, who is the District Commander at Mota School District Police. You're very welcome to our discussion this evening.
Thank you, Doc. I'm very privileged to be part of your program this afternoon. I'm grateful.
I can't tell you how happy I am to have you, because I know that the whole ACP and the district commander by this time, you know, they should be having oversight over some things. They've left all that to educate us, because we need this education. We don't have to be walking around ignorantly. And then we also have a global child protection practitioner in our midst. You know, we can't talk about these things without a child protection practitioner in our midst. And he's in the person of my own Professor Emmanuel Nyakutete. Emma, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Wow. Thanks for joining us today. I also have Eleonora here. Eleonora is a member of the Happy Healthy Home team. And so I have to give her the due acknowledgement. There are two other ladies who form part of the team.
Thank you, Doc.
Yes, they are yet to join us. And so when they do, we will let you know. Please type in your questions and your comments in our chat box as the discussion goes on. So, children are everywhere as we speak. And this meeting may not be a true presentation of all the different categories of children we have, but we are trusting that each one of us will be a good ambassador of everything that we'll learn in this place, so that we'll share vital information where needed most. And indeed, the issue of security at this time is everybody's business. This matter is so dear to me because not so long ago, when 3 girls were kidnapped in Takoradi, and even a few others later, I had a chance as part of the team that went into their homes to give them some psychological assistance. And they were regular children who lived in regular homes. This just shows that these are things that are happening around us. It can happen to anyone, and we all have to be alert as a result. There are children living in residential areas, in gated communities. Sometimes we think that those children are safer than anybody else, but I believe that there are certain gaps in our security consciousness that we need to fill. There are children who live in typical slum areas. Some live in not so deprived areas or communities. There are others in compound houses, and then others also in orphan institutions. All these children, all these categories of children, their safety should be our concern. Then there are also children who have special needs and those who are not. So you can see that children cut across all these categories. As we are talking about security or safety, we need to talk about all these children. And we know that we can't talk about all this in just one meeting. However, we will begin to talk. And first, we would like to know why this time of the year, with all the things going on, calls for a security awakening. At least I know that with the Takoradi girls who were kidnapped, it happened, or they were last seen in December, 2 of them. And it's no news. I have a video that I'll be sharing for us to just have a look. We wouldn't push police officials to really talk about it, but it's just to show us the seriousness of what we are talking about, that this is really everybody's business, really everybody's concern. So I want to know why is, or what times of the year are you faced with issues affecting children, and what kind of things do they exactly face? ACP, I would like to hear from you first, please.
Thank you very much, Doug. Even though this is security, I will pick it from a point which says that children are an inheritance of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. So if we are talking about children here and their safety, in terms of security, let's look at our responsibility as parents. They are a gift to us. They are our heritage. And when we have them, it becomes a reward unto us. So our responsibility is keeping these children well and ensuring their protection. Then let me go back to the community, still talking about the safety of children. We are looking at children in the community. From the community perspective, it is a place where several people from different geographical areas are. Hearing you from what you just said, we are even looking at it from children with special needs, which of course we all don't actually look at when it comes to children. So we are dealing with so many different children from different backgrounds. So when we want to talk about security in this perspective, we'll equally put up our cultures at the forefront. You know, so
Wow.
I'll go back to say that if I want to take it again from the spiritual point, it's a train up a child the way he should go. And when he grows, he will not depart from it. Now, with these two scriptures and our responsibility in the community, if we want to really talk about their safety, then I will say that every individual, biological parent, foster parent, adopted parent, whatever they are, it is our responsibility to ensure not only our biological children, because gone are the days when we used to do external family system. But this day you can believe me that it is only myself, my children, and that is it. But if we are talking about children who are heritage, something that is a reward, then your child, my child, somebody's child is very important. So we as parents, if we want to talk about security, then let me go back to my last point, which is talking as a police officer, protection of life and property. So life is that we are dealing with. So everybody must take it seriously when it comes to how our children behave, what they do, where they are at a given time, who their friends are, and where they go at a particular time. So that is where we can pick the protection from. Because if we know where they are, we know their friends, we know what they do, then when there is something wrong, you can easily call A, B, C. Oh, is Akuya with you? Is Abba with you? Is Kwame with you? Then you can easily relate. Now, my last point before somebody comes in is we are talking about a new normal. We are in COVID times, not in the normal days. A lot of water has passed under the bridge from, let's say, March to where we are now. Children are not going to school. What do we do with them? How do we engage the children? There is a lot about cyber crime, and they need cyber security. Do we parents just go to work, and then leave our children at home, not knowing what they do, not knowing where they go to, not knowing who their friends are? There are several questions we have to look at, but I'll leave it at this point and say that looking at the new normal, which is the COVID, and like you rightfully mentioned, the election that is forthcoming, there is a lot we need to do to protect our children. And so all that I'll say this afternoon before I come in again is that from my point as a woman of God, from my point as a law enforcer, knowing where my child is, the important thing for me is that I befriend my child. If my child is my friend, then communication is very easy.
Wow.
But where I make my child to fear me, the child will go out there, do so many things, come back home and hide it from me. So if there is anything going wrong, the child cannot relate to me. Let's remember that if our children have friends that we do not know, they will think about so many things that is behind us. We parents may not know. They are at risk when it comes to that point. But when you are a friend, whether boy or girl, they can go 1,000 miles and then come back. Oh, mommy, oh, daddy, today I saw ABCD. Do you know I want to ask you this and this question? Then they've opened up to you. Then you can talk to them. Then you can guide them and you can direct them. Doc, let me leave it here for now. Then we'll come back again. Thank you so much.
Wow. I'm already excited and so much into this because we have just finished a series of these Zoom meetings where we're talking about intentionally grooming boys and intentionally grooming girls. And the whole idea was about the fact that culture defines the way culture defines masculinity and femininity plays a big role in the kind of things that goes on in the community. So when it comes to crime, it's how people see girls, how do they see boys, how do they see children. And indeed, one of the things that came out strongly when we're talking about grooming girls is the fact that resource persons kept on stressing that, look, they have to be friends with you. They have to. So even from the security point of view, we are saying that your child being your friend is very important and you cannot take it for granted. So I'm happy that you have talked about it again. It's very exciting because in the olden days, our parents were very hard on us. That's why we heard that little children should be seen and not heard. And who are you to give your point of view and all that? I think that the discipline must still be there, but then we have to make sure that there's friendship so that they can communicate. Superintendent, do you want to comment on Or do you want to add anything to the subject I just raised? I'm saying that since the children have been home, they've had a lot of things going on, and we've heard that in other countries, children have suffered a lot of abuse in this year because they're at home. We've heard about gender-based violence. What is happening in Ghana? Is it the same? Are you facing more child-related issues in your district?
Yeah, Doc, thank you so much. My boss has said a lot. See, children are vulnerable, and we parents or adults around them have to make sure that we protect them. This period we are in now, that we term new normal, is not all that new to the former situation we were in.
Okay.
Because if you think about the risk, it's almost the same if you are not so careful. The only difference we have now is that instead of children being sent to school, whilst parents are at work, in the school, we presume or we are sure that they're under the care and protection of the school authorities and their teachers. Sometimes we go to the extent of maybe giving some rules as to whoever comes to pick our children and whatever directive we give. But now we leave them at home and go to work. Sometimes under the care of a domestic assistant or an elderly sibling who is also a child in the house. We may think that because they are at home, maybe in a self-contained house with a gate, they are okay, but so many things can happen in that home.
Wow.
So that is where the concern is. Now, children are using the internet to do classes so that they are not idle. This internet also comes with its own problems. Children are on social media interacting with friends that they were not used to. Seeing others in different way, engaging them in all kind of conversation, which can lure them into all kind of activities. So as parents, we have to look at that side also to make sure that we are protecting our children. Okay, coming from the internet aspect, taking into consideration the home setting with all kind of people, sometimes we forget the fact that even though the children are with their own people that they know, abuse can still occur in that home.
Okay.
Because by the work we do and the experiences that we have, we realize that most of the abuse cases that we've been receiving from the public, especially in sexual offenses, most of the perpetrators are people known very well to the victims, the children. So you may be thinking that your child is at home with an uncle, with a big brother, with a family member. That child is safe. You have to open your eyes wide and know what exactly is going on. We have cases, my boss is aware. She even called me first and mentioned this case to me. During this COVID time, a big brother was able to impregnate his two younger sisters in the home. My boss is aware. She even called me and complained this to me. During this particular period, it happened. Their mother, who is a worker, feels so comfortable that, oh, they are my children and they have grown up to a certain age. They can take care of themselves. They are siblings. Nothing can happen. And she was only focusing on the work, how to bring food home. But abuse was happening between her own children. The two sisters were pregnant for their brother, because the woman couldn't envisage that something like that could happen. We have physical abuse that goes on in the home. Starvation is there, beating, the bigger ones beating the younger ones. Even emotional abuse is also happening during this time at home. So we shouldn't think that because the children are at home now, everything is okay. We have to open our eyes very well. We have to get close to the children. We have to make sure that we monitor whatever they are doing at any particular time. Apart from the abuse within the home setting, the members at home, somebody from outside can also come in and do something. As you already indicated about this kidnapping, kidnapping does not always occur outside the home setting. It can occur in your own home setting. Even a family member in your home can be part of kidnapping if you are not careful. If you are not careful, a member from your own family who you trust so much because the children trust that person, he will be the easiest person to be used by the kidnappers to implement whatever plan they are trying to put in place. So we have to, the crime is not statistic, and the criminals are so innovative. They are coming out with different plans as to how to outwit we, the security officers and parent caretakers. So I always tell my colleagues and my investigators that we have to be a step ahead of them. We have to think about whatever they want. We have to think about it and move forward before they get there, before we will be able to match them or apprehend them whenever they want to implement their plans. So as they are at home now, parents to know how to handle them, give them the kind of security measures they put in place involving the children themselves. It is always said that nobody can protect you better than your own self. Apart from God, you are the best security for yourself. Be aware of the environment in which you are. If you know that your environment is such that you have some questionable characters around you, you have to let your children know, you have to educate them. You have to, they are not too small to know all those things. Let them know what exactly the situation is and all what you are doing, all the measures you are putting in place just for their safety, so that they know that if mommy is not at home, I'm not supposed to open the gate for strangers. If somebody wants to come in, the person has to identify him or herself very well for him to be ushered in. If the person is not able to do that, you, the child, you don't open the gates. And if you are in the house, you are many in the house and you have elderly people, you, the smallest one, you are not the one to be opening gates. If you hear somebody knocking, you go in and inform an elderly person to come in. The children have to know all this. They have to know that they are vulnerable and we have to protect them. So in short, there are a lot we're supposed to do as parents when it comes to child security. It's the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, the sexual aspect, and then the economic aspects. If we talk about the economic aspects of children being abused during this period, it is clear. Why am I saying so? Because of economic hardship or problems that we find ourselves in, some parents, now that children are not in school and they are back home, would like to take the advantage of the situation that, okay, Kwesi, as you are at home now, you have to help me do A, B, C, D in my business so that we can get some money for your upkeep, or maybe when school resumes, I'll be able to provide A, B, C. We are not saying that children should not help their parents in their businesses, but the Children's Act says children should do specific work at specific age. If the child is not up to a certain age, that child cannot be involved in a particular kind of business activity. So a child who is so young is not expected to work in a certain environment, some like cocoa farms, fishing, mining, and then also those that sell by the roadside and some nightclubs and all that. We don't involve children in it. They are at home. So it's possible that parents can involve them in all this kind of activity. So we have to be careful. I will not go so much. Let me stop it here, and then we move forward and see how it goes. Thank you so much.
Wow. In fact, we need to be engaging you professionals on this matter as and when, because we cannot have this conversation once in a while and walking around and thinking that we know it all. Because you brought out so many important points, as in instituting security measures, involving the children themselves, letting them know that they are the best able to protect themselves, and they are working together with us to keep them safe because they are vulnerable. I think that's a very strong point. And at this point, I'd like to say that if you're joining this meeting for the first time and you're not aware, we've had previous meetings during the lockdown. We had Zoom meetings on how not to lose your child to social media and online vices. So you can find those Zoom recordings at our YouTube channel, All for Jesus. We taught parents how to secure the phones of children, and we discussed how to be smart about these cyber issues. Because if you are going to leave your child with a gadget to go onto the internet and you are not safeguarding, like we've heard, ACP has talked about it, and Superintendent has also just mentioned that it's important for us to be aware of the cyber crimes going on now. So any parent who has a child with a gadget visits the internet, you cannot let yourself loose. And so you can visit our YouTube channel, All for Jesus. You can see the various ways by which you can manage your security and your child's security at this point in time. For instance, from that meeting, I learned to give my children a number of hours to be on the phone. I give them 3 hours every day. So after 3 hours, the phone locks itself and they have to go on to do something else. I only give them extra hours and I can monitor it. And you see, it works by the internet. So even if I'm out of town, I've traveled to another place, once there's internet, they can just call me and say, oh, Mommy, I'm doing my schoolwork. I need some time. As long as I poke them, how come you have 3 hours? What did you do all the 3 hours? What do you use all the 3 hours to do? And it's working very well. I visit their phones. They're not on WhatsApp. I've blocked, and you have the opportunity to block whatever apps you want to block. So as for WhatsApp, it's a no. I've blocked it. And I mean, we are doing what is humanly possible. I like the fact that you've just mentioned that we need to pray. So we'll pray, but what is humanly possible, we have to do. So thank you very much for bringing out these points. I know that we are on a road to actually talking about these abuse issues, because it's true. You think that your children are safe because they're at home and even those who are supposed to be doing schoolwork. A lot of parents have complained that while they think that they are doing schoolwork, they're also doing their own thing on the internet, searching their own thing. So I'd like to ask this follow-up question, that for the purpose of our discussion, these abuse issues, you talk about abuse, you talk about kidnapping, are these the only kind of dangers that our children are facing? You talk about child labor, and I like it. Are there any other issues that we need to know? You talk about cyber crime, any other things that we need to know about? ACP.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doug. Apart from these few that we have mentioned, there is the issue of using these children for, when you look at, we abuse their rights, human rights abuses, and then trafficking issues. Sometimes the children are used for trafficking and we do not see, particularly from the point of sexual exploitation. I mean, you will tell the child there is this opening here, that when you are gone to that area, you can make 1, 2, 3 incomes. And the children are lured, and that is another point, human trafficking. They do not know, they only look at the luxurious part of it. And unfortunately, they get into it. and it is not as luxury as they think. So those are some of the issues as well: the sexual exploitation and abuse, and then the trafficking areas. If you look at our environment, particularly going to the Volta North area, the Dambai side, these are where most of the trafficking issues emanate from. And these children there, like Christine mentioned, are very, very vulnerable. It's like they are crossing the sea or the river to go and do something, and unfortunately, they are taken out of their comfort zone. The children sometimes are denied about where they are going to, their right to food and all that. And then if you are not smart enough, you may not see it as trafficking, because most of us, we are used to going around with children. Children are sitting in buses, in vehicles, going up and down. So we don't think immediately that somebody can traffic them. So if you are not curious, looking at the point of vulnerability, to ask, where are you going? Are you a student? Who are you traveling with? Where are your parents? You realize that if you are able to question them, then they are alert. Why is this person asking me all these questions? Then something is going wrong. And if you are a smart adult, then you know that somebody is trafficking somebody from one point to the other. Most of the time, because of our independence to the children, when they are doing things, we don't really want to question it because we think we'll violate their rights. But for me, I will always tell you that once you are under my roof as a child and I'm taking care of you, you don't have your independence. You have your rights, but you don't have your independence. I should know everything that pertains to you. Your rights, I should know that, yes, the child has basic things that he or she must have. But your independence is when you have attained the age of maturity and you are off my roof. Then I can say you are independent. Even then, I am still concerned. I should know what you do, particularly when I am a police officer, when I am a woman of God, when I am a mother. I should know what you do so I can give you pieces of advice. Trafficking is something that is taking our minds off where our children go. So one thing I would also like us to consider, I said earlier on that if you know your child's friends, you will know where they go, what they do, and what they engage in. So at any given time, you are there to give pieces of advice. It is good we give our children the right, but I will still hammer on independence until some responsible man or woman comes in to say that I am going to live with this man. As the Bible says, the two shall become one. Then you must know that that child is still under parental control. So trafficking is something we should consider. My sister has mentioned about labor, child labor. What do we do? In fact, me as a police officer and where I live, the route I use sometimes, if you look at it from 37 in Accra, 37 Military Hospital, towards Opebia, through to airport, there are a lot of streets selling pure water. Children carry that water. Pure water bag is how much? And the child's life is at risk. Going to stand at that roadside, the future of that child. Believe you me, if we consider some of these things, those petty labors, rather I would have said that train up the child in the home. Kwame, whether boy or girl, Kwame, come and wash the plate with me. Kwame, come and sweep. Do you know when you are sweeping, do it this way? They are learning something. When you are washing plate, like Doc said, you give them 3 hours on phone. Use 30 minutes to wash plates. Use 30 minutes to sweep. After that, maybe I give you 45 minutes to watch a particular program you like on TV. After that, go back to your book. Read a storybook or some chapters of a storybook a day. You are keeping the child safe. You are teaching the child to even read. You are teaching the child to improve their knowledge. Are we together? So some of these things, when we do, we are helping them to help us and still maintain the friendship. It's one area we should look at, but teaching them to do the right thing. In fact, you did mention about kidnapping. Let's look at it from the point of law. The Criminal and Other Offences Act, Chapter 5, Section 90, is talking about kidnapping. You are taking the person, I'm paraphrasing, you are taking the person out of his or her jurisdiction without the person's consent. What is going to happen to the child? If we train our children how strangers will come their way, what they need to do, how they need to act, then they will be alert. Let me end up with this story. There is this parent who has a sign language, let me say, with the daughter. When the child goes to school and she is not going to pick the child, and somebody must pick the child. There is a I should pick you and bring you home. They said, really? Mommy hasn't told me anything. Okay, let me ask mommy. There was no phone. He said, what? When I come, I should just tell you that mommy says. He said, no. There is something mommy should have told you. It is a sign to pick that child. So the child, an 8-year-old child, was able to outwit that kidnapper. Okay, so the child said, if you don't show me that sign, I am not going with you. So once the sign did not come, that is an intelligence. It tells of the relationship between the children and their parents. Either than that, the child could have been kidnapped easily, but there was a sign. What are some of the signs we give to our children? If you are somewhere, somebody is doing something, maybe let me say that I have to scratch my back with my left hand, and then you know that that is a sign. Just my left hand, I strike my back with it, so you know that this is one thing we do. But if not, then you are lying. You are taking me somewhere that I don't know. I will not allow you. This is the point. I come back to your kidnapping point. Apart from talking about trafficking and talking about all the other vulnerabilities. So let me put it here again, and then we'll move it on. I brought in the act because we are talking about kidnapping, and that is with the Criminal and Other Offences Act, Chapter 5, Section 90, talking about kidnapping. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you. I think you keep on emphasizing these 4 points over and over again, and I need to go over because somebody may have just joined us, and you've talked about the fact that we need to know who our children are. We need to know who they are. We need to know who their friends are, because it's likely that if we know who their friends are, we know exactly what they are engaged, what they're involved in. And yes, we need to know what they are doing at any particular time. And if they're out of the house, we need to have an idea where they're probably going to. That's interesting. Let me link it to the issue you raised about our children knowing how to relate with strangers. So these are university students, okay? She's a university student who has a job. She's gone to work, she's coming. Everybody knows that at this time she should come home. She hasn't come. And her workplace said, oh, she did leave the house. Well, I mean, she did leave the workplace for the house, but she's not at home. Between leaving the workplace and between getting home, what happened? What are some of the things that we need to be aware of when it comes to dealing with strangers? Because it's hard to believe that adults can actually be captured like that, taken over. What do we need to know?
Sure. Thank you very much. That's another very important point. Communication is very important when it comes to relationship. If my child of university age, I have about 3 in my home now, let me say more importantly 2, because one is on her own. The 2 of them, at any given time, there is this communication. If you leave the home and you are going to school, between the home and the school, let me know that maybe you are passing here to buy this, or you do this at this point, and whom you are going to see, so that between the home and the school, if something happens and I don't hear from you, I can ask, maybe Kwame, did Amma get to your end? Because she says she'll pass your end before hitting campus. Did you hear from her? Did you communicate with her? Was there anything? We must know in between what happens. And at any given time, if your children are using phone, communication is important. Even we adults, myself, sometimes I'll say that I'm going to church. I'll get to this point. I'll pass here. At any given time, I said, I'm here now. I'm buying this. Let me say this funny thing before I drop again. There was a function I was having when my late was there. I was running him down at any given time, let's say 30 minutes intervals. And when I got home, he said, wow, you can run commentary. At every given time, you tell me where you are and what you are doing. So that if there is something wrong, I know that at this point, I heard from you. At this point, I didn't hear from you. So between the point I didn't hear, what happened? There must be continuous communication, because we are not in normal time. A lot of things are happening, getting to elections. I have told a few people around me, even the children who are in the choir in my church, I've told them you cannot practice risky. Innocent, if you don't adhere to going out, staying home, but you decide to go out late, you are at risk in whatever you do. So you better take it. That is where I will still hammer on friendship. We must advise them that it is not good to stay out very late. So if they are out between, let's say 6 and 8, you know where they are. When they take off, when you take an Uber, for instance, have you asked the driver his name? So that if you are monitoring, you can monitor all these things. They are adults. As for the adult, the Uber, they take it. The boat, they take it. So get to know when they are picking the car, what car they are picking, who the driver is, at what point they took or picked the car, and at what point they are getting. So you monitor them. And so the communication is still ongoing. Communication is very important. And that is how we can track them. Thank you, Doc. I hold it here for now.
So is it practical? Can we be running commentary on our whereabouts every now and then when we step out? Is it really practical?
For me, I do it. It is my lifestyle. So I'm sharing it. Others can also learn it. It is my lifestyle.
Yeah, which means that we have all been a bit loose on our security. Because when we are boarding taxis and stuff, we don't even look at the numbers. What do you have to say to that? When should we start learning some of these things? Well, at an age where we start learning how to cross the road and all those things.
Don't let me chip in this thing quickly. As a police officer, Christine will bear me witness. You see people saying that, hey, the car is him. The car is this. The people did this. They did A, B, C, D. But when the policeman comes to the scene and asks, what was the car number? Hey, me, I didn't look at the car number. What was the color of the car? I didn't think about the color of the car, but a car knocked somebody. I'm talking from my mind as a security officer who works in the community. This is the education we give them. That's why I say I'm being very practical. A car has knocked you down, or a motorbike has knocked you down. who is riding that motorbike? Give a description of the person. What type of motorbike? What is the number on the plate of the motor? There are things that you see the way you ask me the question, we all don't think about those things. But at the end of the day, why there is a problem? And they ask, because you are going to write a statement. What are you going to write? I was knocked by a car. What type of car? What is the number, kind? What is the number plate? Who is driving? All those things do not come to mind, but they are what the police will investigate to find out, and then they can take a good statement to prosecute the issue. You see, I'm taking you back to the law.
Yeah.
Are we together?
Yeah. Yeah. So we are talking about being security conscious.
Okay, so this is where I'm coming practical. Yes.
But
that is
where do we start learning how to be conscious of all these things? How do we learn it? Because we are all just walking around, and it's true, we don't think about these things. Where is the gap? Is it that in our schools we should have a curriculum that teaches us how to be security conscious, or what? Because like you're saying, I feel guilty about this as well, that I didn't even look at the car that hits the person, but I'm probably more interested in, as a doctor, I'll be more interested in, oh, a car has got somebody, let me go and help the person. I don't even look at the car. So where is the gap? What do you think?
Can I come in?
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Reach that gap, and that is exactly what community does. We go to the schools, we visit the faith, give them community tips as what they have to do. A gap we are doing. Christine, please, you can come in.
Yeah, the gap is that the system has not helped us. So now that the realization is coming, it's not too late. We can start something now, from home, from school, everywhere. We should start taking all these petty security issues seriously, because it has been affecting us negatively a lot. So it doesn't matter how long it has taken us not to know all this. We can start something now. We know that we were brought up as children who were supposed to be observers, not to be partakers. Now that crime is changing and our system is not helping us with the kind of trainings that we have, we also have to adjust. We have to learn new things to help us move forward, or else we will keep suffering and be talking every day without taking any action. Police normally face a lot of challenges when we are investigating cases, because first, people are not ready to be witnesses or give every statement in police station because they don't want to be labeled as bad people. Meanwhile, when the crime occurred, there were a lot of people who were eyewitnesses to the crime, but they wouldn't be ready to come to assist police to investigate and make sure that the victim gets justice. We have to now change our attitude. We have to now change our attitude so that we can move forward. There's something that I was thinking about. You asked a question that apart from the kidnapping, the sexual abuse, and all that occur at home, is there any other area of child abuse or whatever we can look at? I thought about that particular question, and I'm thinking that it seems that the system, on all our discussions, we focus on the child being a victim. The child being a victim. What of children who are committing crimes?
Wow.
We sometimes to think about their plight also, or if there's something that we can do for them. They are now at home, they are idle. Do we think about that aspect also? They themselves going out to commit crime? Yes, We have
Wow.
children who are involved in crime, even in robbery. Children are partaking. Sometimes we get robbers. We get robbers, and you'll be surprised that the perpetrators are juveniles. Most of them are juveniles. So I think that we should start thinking about children who are themselves criminals, who are engaged in crime. We call them juvenile because they are children who have committed crime. And there's a law that we use for them. We take them through the process. When they commit crime, we investigate them, we send them to court, we prosecute them. Just that we use a different law for them. If we don't check them, they grow from that stage to another. So children can be involved in crime also. So we shouldn't focus always on that aspect of children being victim. They are also involved in crime. So that is what I get to.
Wow, that's interesting. I want us to go straight to talk about what security measures should we actually institute. Now we've talked about the parent-child relationship. We've talked about a few things that we need to be aware of. Is there anything that we are missing? Emmanuel, are you with us? Is Emmanuel with us?
Yes, madam. I'm here.
Based on all that we have said, as a child protection practitioner, what do you have to say?
This reminds me of the joke of the economic student who was asked his economic science discussed. He said that if all the gurus said that economics is science, who is he to say economics is not a science? So after ACP and the rest, I've talked about that. Who am I? Great. But let me just add that, like we are saying, it's very, very important, and they have mentioned all the key things. And I'm personally interested in and happy the point ACP is making in terms of the relationship. When you don't have a relationship with your children, they may not tell you where they are going because they are afraid. And from attachment point of view or theory point of view, that means that your child will be showing behavior of what we call avoidant attachment, simply because they know that when they have said whatever that they are with a good intention or what, they will have to read your mind and know that you will accept it or not. And for that matter, when you say that you are Amma and Amma says that he is passing through Kwesi's place, if that parent will conclude that, oh, you are going to do some nocturnal things and things of that nature, and your child will have to be thinking about you in that way, they will not tell you. So if we are open with them and they know that we believe them, we trust them, we are giving them all that they need, they don't hate themselves to do whatever we would not want them to do. And for that matter, that open conversation and that communication will be important. So one of the key things, like the senior officers and the experts have said, is relationship and communication. For us to know where our children are at any given time. Another thing that Commander said is about the child's image that we have. We now call it the image of children that we have over the years. And we are still keeping that one, that children should be observers and not participants. Meanwhile, the UNCRC that we are assigned to, actually one of the core things is children being participants. You hear people talking about children being the future leader. They are now. The skills that they need to be that future leader, they need to learn them, practice them, and acquire them now. When we are not engaging them, how can they do that? So one of the security things that we need to help them to do is for them to be able to say whatever that they want to say. If they are saying it and they are not saying it right, we only keep them and we teach them. If we are able to do that and they are actively involved and we are hearing their voices, when somebody tells them something that, or they do something that is not good to them, they will come and tell you. But what do we see and what do we do in our home when we give a typical example of sexual abuse? If a child is molested or abused and the child comes to tell the parents, the first accusation is that we are collaborating. So double agony. I'm suffering some pain and I'm emotionally also abused now. Then let me keep that one to myself so that I don't go for them, because your child, one thing that we must know is that innately they are born with to bond to you, to be attached to you. So they are always studying us and knowing what we are interested to for them to do, so that we don't get away from them. We don't break that relationship with them. I saw some posts and I reposted it and made a comment on it. Children will do the wrong thing, but when you are insulting them and screaming at them, they will not stop loving you, but they are reducing their worth. They think that they are worthless. So when they have done something wrong and you are correcting them, correct them with love and care. I keep on telling people, it's not the screaming on your child that will make him or her do the right thing, but the way you speak to him or her is the way. So when we are able to do these things, where we are giving them that security for them to protect themselves and be active in their community as well. One thing that we are also losing in our communities, we are told that it takes a community to raise a child. But somewhere along the line, we got it all wrong. We rather use that communal nature of us as Ghanaians and for that matter Africa to support the evil. I don't know where that came. Because we see children that they are not passed, so rather let's support adults and that kind of thing. We need to be able to engage ourselves and reorient ourselves, re-engineer, and take that out of our thinking. And lastly, before I give the opportunity to other people to come in, it's a simple thing that we need to do. Vital registration, child registration, birth registration is a key. Like our officers are telling us, sometimes when the issues come to them, and the child who superintendent talk about, who has found fault with the law, we need to be able to establish their age so that the right treatment will be given to them. When we don't have their birth certificate to determine their age and they are treated as an adult, then they are hardened and they become even worse criminal. And some of these things in our community, we can do that. Help people to get those simple things. They matter. In fact, let me say it here and then that birth registrations are not meant for just registering for voting. They are what recognize the child as important individual identity of a country. Children are supposed not to be living in their country to be a stateless people. In Ghana here, we have more than 20% of our people suffering that, and we need to, that is their number one way of protecting them, and we all have that responsibility to do. If those of us on this platform have registered our children, if we know people who are not having that, let's help them to get it done, and we'll be doing good to ourselves. Over.
Thank you, Emma. That's very deep. I'm sharing this video, which has circulated recently, and my question is, should we teach our children basic self-defense skills? Because I know that in some countries, they are taught how to, especially girls, so they can master courage and ward off any abuses, sexual abuses, as they go and they come. I want you to give me this answer, officials. But before then, let's just have a look at this. That happened just recently.
Nothing happening. We can't see.
Doug, we can't see your screen. We can't see anything. Or you are trying now.
Hello.
Hello, Nancy.
Yes, sir.
We can't see you.
Oh, you can't see?
Yes,
Sorry.
we didn't see anything.
Nothing.
We didn't hear anything.
Oh, I thought I was sharing my screen. Oh, forgive me.
No.
No.
Okay.
We are not seeing anything.
You're not sharing.
Sorry. So actually, I'm sharing this video because it is quite. It's the end story is good. So yes, I can share it. I'm not going to ask officials to comment because it's something that happened very recently. But I want us to just see, and then as I've asked the question concerning teaching our children
So
some.
step by step, please. Have you shared your screen? Because it's your face we are seeing. We are not seeing your screen.
Yes, you'll see my screen shortly.
Okay, then go ahead.
So I want to find out, should we teach them? Maybe you can answer the question as we talk. Yes, now you can see my screen. Please, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, dog.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Doc, before the screen comes on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 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 okay.
So this is the video I'm sharing, and I have a lot of questions to ask about it. First, I don't know, I don't understand the language, but I believe there was an argument about should we untie the child or not untie the child, or should we allow the police to come in before they untie the child themselves. First, I want to find out, should we teach our children self-defense skills? I think that is important. Please, what do you have to say about that?
Doc, thank you, Doc. But I think that is one very important thing that we need to teach our children. When I do sensitization in the school, particularly concerning sexual abuses, I tell the girls that any man that makes attempt at you, you don't look at the age or how or who the person is. The first point, if the person wants to abuse you sexually, the first point you should look at is hitting the groin and then taking up to your heels. I believe that the male on the platform can agree with me that that is one sensitive area that if it is heated, you will definitely, feel the pain. And you will not be able to do what exactly you want to do at that moment. The child or the lady who can hit you at the groin hard, maybe kicking you up there or hitting you with something and taking up to the heels, can quickly contact somebody who will rescue her. That is one thing we tell the students when we go to the schools, be it the younger one, the teenagers, and the university graduates. The first point I will tell you is hit them hard if you had the opportunity. Hit them hard at the groin and take to your heels. Self-defense is very good. That is why sometimes in the school, when they are doing martial arts, you will tell your children, oh, learn it for your own safety. If they have the opportunity, 1 or 2 skills that you can use to outwit a perpetrator, you should use it so you can escape and seek for assistance. So I'll tell you that it is important when you learn some of those self-defense tricks. Over.
Which means that we need to bring our girls up to be very confident, because if the child is not confident and is full of fear, Emmanuel has always spoken about fear. There's fear. Then some of these things will be actually hard to implement because you need a lot of courage to be able to do such a thing. Emmanuel,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that
Relationship.
exactly the relationship? Emmanuel, what are something that we are doing that is putting fear into our girls? We've had a whole session on how to groom our girls intentionally, but for the sake of this meeting, let's talk a little bit about dealing with fear.
Thank you. A quick one that I want to talk about is it's rather unfortunate the criminals know how to relate well with our children than ourselves. I mean, go to average homes, and when children have made mistakes and we are correcting them, look at the tone, the texture of our voice, and the screaming. And within some seconds, then the hand part, it goes. And you ask yourself, why? You are doing that with a good intention without thinking about the other side of it. That is the painful thing. So what we are saying here is that we adults, and that is what the question that I normally put to them, that we are all adults, we have all the experience, we are working. When we make mistakes in our workplace, even as couples or spouses, and your spouse make a mistake, how do you expect your spouse to tell you about your mistake? Here we are, we have all the experiences as an adult. We expect them to talk to us in that respect and that kindness and those kind of things. But look at those who are now learning. GM Piaget says that children are young scientists that are exploring their world. In the process of exploring their world, that they make a mistake, they come and see the screaming and all those things. Sometimes they are busy doing something and we want them to do something for us, and we will not show them that respect to talk to them in that way, which is in a way of modeling and teaching them. So for us to get to that stage, as we are saying, that old mentality of children are seen and not heard, which we simply put it in a form that we say that the image that we have for children must change.
The norms
See
about
them.
children.
And one of the scriptures that help, yes, see them that they are young, but they are equally active and they are right holders. They have that responsibility for their own. And as a Christian, I know that Genesis chapter 1, verse 27 tells us that God created man or human being in his image, male and female, he created them in his image. They didn't grow to become an adult before they become the image of God. So dignity is something that we must show them right from the word go, so that we don't scream at them, we don't unnecessarily, I mean, the moment from attachment point of view, the moment your child will be thinking about how you will receive him or her when she comes to you, number one, they will be afraid to go out there and explore and even achieve. Then when they have made a mistake in that one, you are not able to show them that you are ready to there to comfort them and accept their mistake and even use that one as a point of teaching, and rather scream at them and call them and label them, they are gone. And these things develop so early. Before age 3, they might have acquired all these skills. After that, it is now intervention. And we are not teaching ourselves to relate well with them when they were young. So that is where we need to take it from. And again, when that happens, the mental torture that it gives to them, and you know, mental health issues that children go through them, we think that it's only adult that goes through all those things. It is the children. And when those screaming and all this, because they love us. And the moment somebody you love is not showing back that love, you know how we feel. And the screaming and that treatment that we give to our children brings about that thing, and their self-esteem and self-concept, which is so beautiful that they should have, and be thinking about that dream, that imagine I will be this, I will be that, is damaged right from the word go. And that is it.
Wow.
So we need to, relationship like ACP said from the beginning, and as Superintendent also said, the image, we must now begin to engage with our children. When we even have what decision we want to take about them, let's engage them so that we'll be teaching them how to participate in discussion. The democracy must start from our home.
So aside the fact that children are in themselves vulnerable, the way we also see them and some of the things that we do make them even more vulnerable. And then we will look back and say that, oh, our children are not safe, or maybe the police are not doing their job. But we are saying that it's a shared responsibility, and our responsibility now is really sit down and reflect on how we are relating with our children, and whether if they are involved in some kind of crime or anything at all, they'll be willing to share with us, especially our teenagers. And so I'm very happy that these things have come out very strongly because I didn't even feel too strongly about them. But we have just 15 minutes to wind up, and I'd like to ask two more questions, and then we call it a day for today. And I like the fact that education has also come in. ACP has told us how she goes to schools to sensitize students, and this is sensitization we're also doing here because we have to come out of our ignorance. So I was talking to ACP about it, and next week we want to talk about how to teach children about their sexuality. It's very important because this education gap, we are not teaching the children so many things. And so the reason why they're walking around too innocent and they are being abused. But we have to realize that, like you said, Emmanuel, their participation is very important. And Commander too has stressed on it that even children are involved in crime, okay, because that relationship and communication is absent. So I want to ask, well, these questions before we go away. And if you have a question or a comment, you can put it in the chat box. I'll take it, I'll read it. I don't know if Tilly's phone has something to say, but her hand has been up for some time now. Tilly's phone, do you have anything to say? All right. Tilly's phone. Okay, your hand has been up for some time now, but I want to ask, what should we do in case we suspect a kidnapping act? And what if we find out that our child is, well, our child is not back from where we think that they should be back at a certain time? What are some of the do's and the don'ts? Commander, do you want to help us? I'm expecting my
Yes.
child home. My child is not back. What are some of the do's and the don'ts? Because I believe that we are so loose in this security issue.
Yes, we should be concerned if our children are expected to get home at a particular time and they are not there. So if you realize that your child is not at home at the time that he or she is supposed to be home, you should first make some calls to be sure that he or she has left wherever he or she was sent to or was. If you confirm that the child has left the place and not yet at home at the time that he was expected to be home, then you should let the police know. You should let the police know. Police, by our training, we are also given some kind of knowledge or technicalities as to how to help in looking for children who are missing. Maybe the child is not kidnapped, the child has missed his or her way and is at a certain place, maybe has been found somewhere and brought to a police station somewhere. We know how to relay messages to other police stations or find out from our colleagues whether a child has been brought to those places. If that is done and we are not able to find the child, we will continue to do the investigation and see whether it is kidnapping or something else. Then we take it from there. Police is very important in this. If you happen to receive maybe a message that that child has been kidnapped and then sent somewhere, and then you had already started communicating with the kidnappers, you still have to involve the police. Don't waste too much time in dealing with the kidnappers yourself. And if you realize that things are not working before you fall on the police, it will not yield much results if you behave that way. And at the end, you tend to blame police that police has not done much for you. So we should know our responsibilities, that when these things happen, the best agency to deal with is to go, to inform the police that this is what has happened and I need your help. You will be cooperating with us. Whatever we want you to do, we will let you know, and then you play your part. We will not push you out of it. You will be part of everything, but let the police know. And the children themselves too, we should let them know how to behave when they suspect something of that sort, or if they are kidnapped, how they should behave. If the child realizes that somebody is trying to take him or her against his or her wish to a place, the child at the moment, at the point of being taken away, can make some noises or can do whatever to attract people's attention. If that is not that, if the child is taken away, we should let our children know that as far as the stranger or the kidnapper has taken you from where people are to assist you, it should remain calm. To remain calm and then be with them, not to do anything to provoke them so that you get, because the kidnappers themselves need you alive to maybe do whatever they wanted to do. So if you cooperate with them, it will prolong the time, and then the police and the security, the police or the other security agencies that we may be involving to do the investigation will get enough time to look for you and then locate wherever you are. So the children themselves have to be taught some kind of tips as to how to handle kidnappers. And then we, the relatives or the parents who will be acting after the act has been done, we should also know how to move so that we don't put our children's life in danger whenever they are kidnapped. I think I'm making a point. Yes. So we should not rush, we should not panic so much, and then at the end, we destroy the system that is there to help us. I think that is what I have.
So are children more at risk during certain days or during certain times of the week or during certain times of the day? Is there anything like that where you can say that, okay, during this time of the day or during this time of the week, children are more vulnerable? What is the trend like when it comes to crime?
Talking about the situation in which we are now, that we find children at home whilst we are at work, we can say now that children are at more risk when we parents have gone to work and they are home on their own. That is the time of the day. During weekdays, that is the time of the day that we can say that they are more vulnerable to strangers. But when we are at home, it will be somehow difficult for somebody to come and then kidnap our children from us. So they are more vulnerable at the time that we are not at home during weekdays. But when you talk about children moving from one place to another on their own, when you see, like children's park, they are going out there to go and play and all that. If we are not careful, those are the very places that kidnappers, criminals also operate so much, because the children are many. So it's easy to hide somewhere and then lure a child into a corner somewhere and take him and her out. So those particular times that children engage in some kind of social activities, they are also at risk.
On the parks, eh?
Then in the night, children can also be at risk. If you are, if the child is moving from one place to another, especially parents who are not living together. The child will say that I am going to mommy, and then will be with mommy, and then at so and so time the child will be coming home to daddy, and then that child takes off from the home, the mommy's place, going to the daddy's place, and then maybe it's late in the night. Some roads are so quiet. Some roads are so quiet, and scarcely before you see somebody using that route. We should let our children know how to use this kind of route. So if the main thing is about you being aware of the environment in which you are. You have to know the kind of people you have around, the environment, how people behave, the commission of crime, whether it is something that is rampant. People once in a while come to the area to communicate. So we have also to be each other's keeper. Neighbors around you, you have to know them. You have to know what work they do. You have to ask some pertinent questions about people around you. You have to know where they go to and what they do and how they come home. You just don't say that it's not my business. I am concentrating on my work and I don't care about whatever happens in my environment. If you see something happening in your neighbor's home, try and ask some few questions and see whether you may be saving a life. So we have to be each other's keeper and then know the environment in which we are and know how to handle ourselves. Thank you.
Okay, so the last question I have for you, I've seen that somebody has asked a question. Emmanuel, it goes to you. Okay, yeah, so you've tried to answer the person. The person is saying that, Issa Swale Adam, thank you for connecting all the way from Jirapa in the Upper West. And you're saying that what intervention will you then need if by 3 years you're not open to your child, you're not friends with, you haven't developed that kind of trust that you need to. And the answer is that from Emmanuel saying that you need to do more of the things that will make the child trust you. Example, if you used to scream at him or her, and now you want to speak calm, you have to be consistent, you won't get the results in a month or two. Wow. So when we had a grooming boys episode, we had a counseling psychologist who actually told us the things that we need to do to meet the developmental needs of our children psychologically, because at every stage in life, they have a psychological need. So we just don't assume that children will grow and then we are with them and they are growing and that's all. But if we know these little things that not matter, we can put them in place and then our children will grow, they'll flourish. Well, my last question is, when should we call the police? Because recently when it rained in Accra, I heard that a child was sitting in front of the mother's shop and then got carried away by the flood. And I heard that a lot of children had been carried away by the flood. Can we call the police when the flood has taken my child away? I mean, will the police be resourceful enough to help?
Yeah.
When should we call the police?
Okay. Can
I come in?
Okay, ACP, you can talk.
Okay. Before I get to that question, thank you again for the opportunity. Christine said a lot about the do's of the children, but let me chip in this one quickly.
Sure.
Sometimes, even if we parents are not at home, we must train our children not to open doors to strangers.
Okay.
If you don't know who it is, you don't just open your door to go out. You don't know what intention the people have. Then again, when the children are out, you don't accept gifts, food, candies from strangers. Sometimes they can drag some of these things. And once you take it, you are taken off. So we should ensure we don't allow them to accept toffees, food, drinks. If I said drinks, I'm talking about the Fanta, the fizzy drinks. Those things can easily lure children, even our adult children. What is in the book? What is in the glass? Wish those things. And talking about lift from person, you jump into the person's car. Sometimes they can just put certain things around your nostril. You sniff it, and that is the end of you.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
So we should train our children to avoid. Yes, they should avoid some of these things. That is why I love the Uber system. So when you pick an Uber, they are being monitored. And before I drop, let me say that the police emergency numbers, the 18355 18555, and then the 191. They are very effective this time around because we know the dispensation in which we are. Once you hit these numbers, the control rooms will pick it up and the available patrol around will be sent into that area. Anybody at all can call the police, particularly with the question you asked. If I am drawn in, how do I call the police? The nearby person can quickly call the police, the fire service. Once you call the police, it's a drowning issue. The fire comes in, not more comes in. It's interrelated. So we work together as a team, but hit the police emergency lines and assistance will come from other places. This time we are in bed together. The police, the fire, the NADMO, we are in bed together. Once you hit a number and they know the situation, they will call the other partners. So they move together. That is what I want to say concerning other areas when it comes to how the children should behave, what they should do and what they shouldn't do for now. So Let me put it there. Then your last question comes in. Over.
Commander, do you want to say anything about the question I
Okay,
asked?
I had wanted to talk about the police emergency number.
Okay.
Then my boss has said it already.
Okay.
We work 24/7, call whatever it is, with fire, you call police, you get the fire service coming. So immediately you call the police, whatever your need is to be provided. But I also, is this my final opportunity to talk?
No, because I have one more question for you, actually. You
So
know,
then let me wait for that before I
okay,
say
all
my
right.
final word.
Yes. Yeah, I have this question is actually to you because I want to find out, do the people in your district, do they know the safe areas and the unsafe areas? Because at this time, I believe that because of the dispensation we are in, people should have that information. It should be out there. That, for instance, if you live in Accra, there are some places that are dangerous, or this, or everywhere is dangerous in Accra. I don't know, but at least I know that I've seen a couple of times. I'm in the Western region. I've seen that they've come out to say that this place, avoid this place at this time, avoid that place. And I saw that message a bit late because on a Sunday evening, I'd gone to park in this area. I'd parked and I was waiting for a friend to give her a lift. But the friend told me that, oh, I'm in the area. She called and communicated with me. So I stopped and parked. So when I parked, I took my phone. I was looking at my phone. And you see, this security consciousness is so important because I saw this guy hovering around my car, but I didn't pay attention. Before I realized, he had snatched my phone and then ran away with it, sat on a motor, and then they sped off, just like that. And so I went to the police station to report it, and they told me, and they started laughing at me. They said, "Ah, madam, that area is a no-go area." They said, "You have got to park among thieves." Now, we are talking about knowing our environment. How will I know that is a? I mean, and when everybody I told, it was as if you are the latest comer in the area. Everybody knows that it's a den of robbers who live there. But
yes.
We sometimes you find out we don't know some of these things. So should you not put it out at this time that you are saying that we are in a very delicate period? Commander,
Yes, yes, you are correct. What you just, as if you are in my mind. Just last night, I was for monitoring. And we had a case. I also have those dangerous areas in my district. And unfortunately, not everybody who is aware. Some people are aware and some are not aware. We have been educating people, but we think it's not enough to let everybody get to know that that particular place is a danger zone for maybe the travelers or maybe drivers and people who use the road. No, I'm for Achimota, the Achimota school site. That's my district. You realize that from Fiesta Royal towards the CP roundabout, mostly during weekdays, the peak period, there's traffic there. And the Achimota forest is also there. So some criminals have taken advantage of that and they will hide in the forest. When the traffic comes and driver starts driving slowly, they come out as if they are also walking just by the roadside. When you lose guard, when you forget about yourself a little, you snatch your phone and run back to the forest. They know the forest and they know where to pass. You cannot chase them and they take your phone away or your bag away. So that has been my headache, and we keep, wherever I get the opportunity, I talk to people that whenever you are traveling, don't alight there, or if you are driving, you get to that, you just roll your windows up and then be very, very conscious about yourself. But it has been happening. So it is our duty to devise ways and means to protect the people who use that particular area of the road. We have been doing it, and we made some arrests, which brought the incident down a bit. We've been sending them to their remand. We are coming. And there was this particular guy whose mention was mentioned in most of the snatching cases, and he's been raping the victims too in addition. So we have been looking for him. We went to his hometown in Ashanti region looking for him. We couldn't get him. Last night, whilst I was on duty, doing my monitoring, my patrol team called me and said, Madam, we have done a very good job for you. What
Good
is
news.
it? We have arrested that guy.
Wow.
That guy, he snatched somebody's phone, went to the bush, and the person came to report. And then the patrol car followed the complainant. They went there, they looked for him, and they got him with the phone and other 4 phones that he had already snatched from people that very night, last night. So we arrested him. And I know very well that this particular guy we have arrested, it will solve our problem to a large extent because he alone can come in the night and snatch about 10 phones before going. Yeah. So we have these danger areas that we have to let the public know that when you are moving at that particular place or that particular stretch of the road at a particular time, you have to be very careful. Sometimes we will go to park our vehicle there just to make sure that nobody falls victim to these people. So all the police work, if you look at about our core mandates, prevention is key. Prevention is key. So preventive aspect is something that we look at seriously. The awareness creation, the education, which Madam Akoli has been doing so much because of her unit for community, because she is always with the community, talking to them, telling them what to do, what not to do, and all that. We know that we need to do more, but we still continue to do it till we get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. At least I've learned one thing today, that I shouldn't think that because I'm at work and my children are at home with a caretaker, they are safe. In fact, it's the most unsafest moment of my life, of my children's life. And that's interesting because it's easy to feel so relaxed and think that, oh, my children are there with their caretaker, they are okay. But I mean, this evening, this is one of the things that you really opened my eyes to. I'd like to take your final words. And if there are no more questions, I'll take any comments from my participants, and then we'll take the comments before we take your last words. Please, has anybody got anything to say? You can unmute yourself and talk to us. Anybody, anything to say?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, please, I would want to know if it is okay to teach my children the emergency numbers, just in case. I'm asking so because I'm afraid that teach them is a good thing, but maybe at a time that I'm not at home, they could just pick a phone and dial the number just for pranking.
Yeah, pranking, eh?
So is it okay to let them know that this is for fire, this is for yeah. So I'm torn in between.
Yes, please.
A quick one there. Don't be torn in. It's very important that children have the emergency numbers. We only educate them. They don't call if there is no issue. It's just like crying wolf, wolf when there is no wolf. Okay. So at the point when you really need them and you call, then they will not pick. But if you call at the time when you have to, they are on their toes and they will call. So it's important we teach the children the emergency numbers. They should only call when there is the need for them to call. Over.
Thank you.
I also think, apart from teaching them, write it boldly and paste somewhere in the house. Teach them they shouldn't call these numbers if there is no emergency. Write it. Every home, I think, should have these numbers written boldly to protect them. Some vital numbers, even your own phone number, your children should know. They should know petty information about you and your husband, where you work, and all those things. They are very, very important. Children have to know all those things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mirabel. Anybody else? Any question, comments? And in fact, Emmanuel, the plan was
to.
Good
evening, Doctor. Hello, good evening, Dr. Isi.
Yes, please.
This is Gideon.
Yes, please. Oh, okay, Gideon, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I was looking through the. Let me say good evening to your experts, and it's been a fantastic fantastic program. The truth is that I love it. I was just going through the list and I noticed that with the information we are receiving, we could have done some massive outreach out there, because I feel it's too important for us to keep it to just this few number. So maybe next time we should reach out to a larger group and let's make a follow-up on that. I think that's one of the comments I will mention. And I also want to say thank you to your experts that spoke. It was a fantastic job they did, and God bless all of them. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Papa Gideon. Thank you. I think that in recent times, because people think that COVID is gone down, they are not even at home to partake in these Zoom meetings. But I think next time I'll consult you so you help us to see how we can reach out to more people. Yes, this is important, absolutely important, because like I said at the beginning, I had the chance to actually visit the families of the 3 kidnapped children. And I can tell you that it was very, very heartbreaking. You don't want to have that experience, but you don't want to be ignorant. Because me, the last thing I hate is to be robbed, or I don't know. I just feel like when it happens, and I feel like, no, there was a gap somewhere. There was a gap somewhere. But of course, you can do only what is humanly possible. Anybody, any comments, any questions? I did, yes. So Emmanuel, I wanted you to talk about children with special needs also, how we can protect them in the community. But I don't know if quickly, ACP, you have something to say. So we have also children with special needs. How are we going to keep them safe in the home, in the community? Now they have learning deficits, so we are not able to teach them these emergency numbers. You're not able to teach them some of our personal numbers. They're not able to understand us. So what are some of the things that we can do just in case we've got a child with a special need at home?
Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy with this particular question. Just about 2 weeks ago, I equally attended a meeting that has to do with people with the special needs. It's like the community does not really care about them, but they are very important. What we have to do is people close to them must still keep that closeness, that relationship, because they are one of the most vulnerable groups. But on the other side, they equally have information that we do not have. We went on a sensitization on adolescent sexual and reproductive health, talking about what the children should do, what they have to do and not to do. There was this guy who was disabled, lame in one leg. He didn't join the meeting, but he stood there and then he said, Madam, Maminka Sembin Show, why? Company for no, really? I'm like, wow, this is somebody with, yes, I'm talking about Koforidia. This is somebody with a disability. He sees everything, he knows everything. So if you don't give them the little attention, there are a few information that you may need, you wouldn't get anybody to give to you. Then on the other side, they must be protected, because sometimes we think that, oh, this one is not important. There is no individual who is not important. Give them a little attention. Sometimes petty gifts in the home, from known people. Oh, Kwame, how are you? Kwame, how is it doing? If they are visually impaired, there is a way you should handle them. If they are crippled, there's a way we should handle them. If they are the other one, investor, let me put it that way. There are ways you should handle them so that somebody is always close to them to monitor them, to ensure, because here they are, they may not be able to speak. They may not be able to say certain things, but if you love them, you are close to them, they can share with you, they can make signs that you who is close to them will understand. Other than that, they are one group of people we've left out totally, and they are very, very vulnerable if it comes to their needs. So for me, I'm also now trying to reach out to them wherever I go doing sensitization, because it's very important. So we shouldn't leave them out. We must care for them, whether we know them or we don't know them. There is this adage that says one womb brings out a child, but many people that train that child to become who the child should be in the future. We are all involved. We are all part of this business. And tomorrow we shall get to a place and be happy together. Thank you very much. Over.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. I was talking. Sorry, Commander, please, is there anything you want to add? And then I'll quickly share a few points so that if there are parents here with in that situation,
Yeah.
in addition
What
to
I
all that
have
we
in
said.
mind, what I have in mind is the fact that we are talking about children now. We shouldn't forget the fact that in whatever we are doing, whatever place we find ourselves, whatever work we do for a living, the Children's Act says that we should think about the best interests of the child when we are handling issues concerning children. We should think about the best interests of the child. If we are taking decisions that will affect the child negatively, we should stop it because that will not be in the best interest of the child. They are vulnerable, their development depends on whatever decision we take. We should not try to raise children thinking that all what they need is the food they will eat, the clothing that they wear, the shelter that will cover them, and the physical things. The emotional aspect of children, children's life is very, very important. A child who is emotionally disturbed can never grow up to become the child, useful and the responsible adult that you wanted to raise. So we should think about the total development of children when we are raising children, considering all the aspects. We should provide a conducive environment comprises of their emotions, their physical needs, their education, health, and everything. Well, most of the times as parents, we tend to forget about their emotions, their worth, whatever they should believe themselves to be, and whatever they are worth for. We forget about those aspects, and all what we want to be seen doing is that we are able to provide expensive clothing for our children. We are buying good food for them and all that. We should get close to them, show affection to them, tell them that we love them, and they also get close to us. By so doing, they also grow to become the useful adults that we want in the society. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate this opportunity, and we know we'll have you again because we need to talk about the sexual abuse issue into details. And so I'd like to take your last words. But before I do, I'd like to give a few tips on keeping children safe at home, especially those with special needs, okay? I'll just run through quickly. One, we have to be careful if you are using gas at home. The gas valves, they can be turning it off and on and off when you like. So as much as possible, try to have something to protect it or cover it so they don't have access to the gas valve. Then if you have a cabinet, please keep your medicines in and keep it locked. Don't expose it where they can have access to. But some of us, we love flowers a lot. You may have some plants in your home that are toxic. You just got to be aware because they can pick it, chew it, anything can happen. So if you have plants, you have to know whether they are safe around your child or not. Then we have to be careful about electrical outlets. Okay, electrical outlets. It's better to put furniture and stuff to cover those outlets so they'll not be exposed. Then where we keep our knives and other sharp objects, we have to put them away. Then if we have any dangerous items, you have to put them away, right? We have to put them away right after using them, like blades and all other things that we may use. We just have to put it away immediately after using it. Then for those of us who can avoid video monitors, it's good to have the monitors at home. So at least we can keep an eye on what is going on. It won't be easy to have somebody constantly keeping an eye on the child. And these are the ones, like our officials have said, they are so vulnerable. And we can't say we don't care. We can't just sit in this meeting and talk about our children and not talk about children with special needs too, because they are also very precious in the sight of God. So where we have staircases and all that, we have to be able to have gates that block them off. I went to a program in one of the social schools here in the Western region, and they complained that the parents are now struggling to care for the children at home because they were enjoying the fact that they were coming to school and the teachers were having to do all the hard work. Now that they're at home, they don't even know how to care for them, and they are wandering in the streets, being knocked down by cars and all sorts of things. And so it's very important for us, if you can make gates around your home where they cannot go out easily, it will also help. But then if you make gates and they can't go out, you also have to make time to take them out, because you can't keep them in forever. They need to go out as well. So make a schedule, cultivate the habit, take them for a walk. All these things are very important. And if you know parents with such children, please be a good ambassador of all that you have learned here and share with them. If they have heavy pictures and mirrors, it shouldn't be on the walls, because they can easily push it, pull it, to break it, to fall on them. All these are hazards, okay? And then bookshelves and cabinets, we have to make sure that they are not the time that the children can climb on top. We've seen videos where children push the cabinet and they fell on one of them, or just there was a one like that. You know, I saw another video where it was a baby cot fell on one child. All these things, we can avoid them if we have danger at the back of our mind. That danger can happen at any time, and we have to also be mindful of where they sleep and how they sleep. There shouldn't be a risk of falling out. We have to keep them away from chokeable objects. Chokeable objects. Recently, I visited my mom in Accra, and then during the play, one of my children came and called me in the room. I said, "Mommy, something has happened." And they play with their neighbor's child. She had picked the pen top, the big pen top, the blue one. She had put it into the nostril. And when you look inside, you can see the blue there. You know, and this was like very scary. So they're at home and all sorts of things are happening, all sorts of mischief. And I had to devise a strategic way of removing this object. You know, but it could have easily gone into the nostril, and then that was another issue. Okay, so if you're talking, as we talk about security, we're also talking about what is good for them emotionally, what is good for their health, what is good for them physically. And if your child doesn't eat some foods, please let the people who are around the child know, so that whilst they're away, they don't give their child that food, because we've said that the most vulnerable time is when we are not there, and then the care of other people. Thank you very much for participating. We hope that you join us to talk about educating our children now on sexual abuse and their sexuality in the few weeks to come. I'd like to take the last words from our resource persons. ACP, can we hear what your takeaway message for all of us?
Okay. I want to say that this time around, we should let our children know that the police should not be feared. The days of fearing the police, carrying our children with the police is over. We are doing child-friendly policing now in the Ghana Police Service. We are open up for child protection as well. The children are welcome to our police stations, and wherever they see police, they should be able to get closer to them so that their curiosity in certain things can be satisfied. Personnel have been trained so much that when you approach them, they will be very nice to you, teach you one or two things, do's and don'ts, so that in case you are vulnerable to that extent that something is happening, you run to the police quickly for assistance. This time, that is how far we have come. Courtesy UNICEF, Emmanuel is there. They brought us to that point of doing child-friendly policing. So the police now is open to children and for everyone. So feel free to come to us, ask us questions at any given time. We are ready to support you to have a safe community, secured community, and a peaceful community. Thank you all for your attention, and may God richly bless you.
Amen. And you have blessed
Amen.
us
God
in
bless you
addition.
too.
You have also blessed us. Hey, we are blessed, Papa. Commander, your takeaway message for us.
Yeah. What I have to tell the public is that policing or security now is a shared responsibility. We all have a role to play. So whatever you are doing, you have to know that you are also a partner in all this. Can be a teacher, a businesswoman, whatever, a boss somewhere, you also have your role to play. Also that children are vulnerable. They need our protection. We have to protect them. We are the adults. Their safety depends on us. The wrong decisions that we take will affect them negatively. So we should always make sure that at any point in time, we are close to them, we are observing them, we are making sure that they are safe wherever they are. We shouldn't forget the fact that they are gifts from above to us. So their safety lies on us totally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, in summary, you have told us that we need to be aware of cybercrime. We need to be wary of leaving our children at home. And you talked about the parent-child relationship. It must be very ongoing, and it must be mindful of communication, because we want our children to be safe. They must participate. They must be involved. And we've also talked about the fact that abuse is occurring in homes. It's taking all forms: sexual, physical, emotional. And we shouldn't forget that they are not strangers. So the people who are even harming our children are the very people around us whom we trust, whom we keep our children with. We think that our children are safe in their hands. Are the very people who may be causing the dangers that we're talking of. And we've talked about other kinds of abuse going on: physical, like bullying, starvation. We talk about trafficking of children, abuse of their human rights. We talk about kidnapping. Okay, and you even shared with us that someone in the house can be the very person doing the kidnapping. We talk about a few security measures that we can teach our children, and including the teenagers, not boarding vehicles without looking at the vehicle number, which has to do with being observant. Okay, so we shouldn't be too engrossed in ourselves when we are outside our homes. And more importantly, we have to know the environment that we are operating in. You have to know the kind of people. You have to know where you are. You have to, that is being security conscious. And then we said we have to educate the children. And I like the fact that ACP has said that there are 4 questions that we need to constantly think about. Who are our children? Who are their friends? Where do they go to? And when they go out, what do they do? I have a friend who said that she doesn't allow her teenager to go without looking into her bag. She always has to look into her bag. And wherever she goes, she has to take a picture and show her. Because some of the children are now taking all sorts of clothes, putting them in their bag. They step out, they go and change. And they go to an environment which may pose a risk for them. So all these things are very important for us to look at. We talked about the fact that a lot of children are also helping their parents to sell by the roadside. At this time, they're at risk of being knocked down by cars. They're at all sorts of risk. Even they're at risk of catching coronavirus. And we talked about the impact of child labor. So when they were going to school, they were not involved in all these things. Now we are introducing them to money. That itself is a big risk. We talked about the fact that we need to have schedules, make schedules for the children, so that at any point in time, You know where they are, you know what they're doing. Scheduling is very important. Let's not leave them to be all over. In fact, making schedules for them will also help them when they have to go back to school. If you have schedules for your child, as soon as January comes, you will not struggle for your child to go back to school and fix it. No, the effect of the pandemic will be felt later when we think that everything is even gone down. We will feel it now because all these things have an emotional impact on the children, psychological. They're at home, they sleep so many hours, they don't wake up early. Now they're going to start school. We have to jump into a routine. But if you already have a routine for them, then it's going to be very smooth sailing and you have a problem. And that will also keep them out of trouble. We talk about Emmanuel has talked a lot about the child protection part, where the image of the child must change. And I keep on saying that the norms around children, norms around boys, norms around girls, are the things that make them vulnerable to being abused. It's the way we see them, the way we think about them, the way we talk about them, the way we accept things about them. And I'm happy that we have learned that we should be a community that resists evil. We shouldn't be a community that protects evil. Because an adult has abused a child, and even chiefs are begging. I've had a situation where even a pastor came to beg that I shouldn't report to the police. I mean, how can we even be doing this to our children? This is injustice to our children. And we've talked about the fact that we need to register them by birth. We need to teach them how to operate around strangers and how to, we talked about teaching them emergency numbers, police numbers. They need to know all these things. We never know when it will be needed. We never know. So we don't have to miss the opportunity. At this juncture, I'd like to say God bless you to each and every one of us for joining. And we hope that in subsequent times, you will also make time to join us.